Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the 25-8 Sportscast, episode 18, coming at you right now, and super excited to be here with you. I'm Tommy Fink, and as always, with me today is my co-host, Jet Rosenstein. Jet, how you doing
Okay,
today?
going back to the basics there. Love it, Tommy. Happy to be back with you once again. Still haven't caught up on my sleep yet based off our last episode heading into the wee hours of the night. But I'm very excited to be with you once again and always ready to talk some sports with you.
Yeah, I'm excited as well. But first, for those of you that are watching at home, and notice how I said watching instead of listening, if you're watching this at home on YouTube, you may notice Phillies shirt, but a Nationals hat. And you may wonder, how is that possible? And I'll tell you exactly how this is possible. I wanted to wear a hat of a team that I knew was for sure going to win on opening day tomorrow. So I picked the Washington Nationals, and you may be wondering how I could pick such a horrible team to be a surefire win. Well, just look at who they're playing. The Washington Nationals are taking on the New York Mets, and I know we've been talking about them quite a bit over the past few episodes, from being a team of the month to then bringing on a Mets super fan to the show. But here we are now, and I'm going to tell you three reasons why the Washington Nationals are going to beat the New York Mets on opening day. Jet, does that sound good?
Yeah, then I would like to add one more reason to that when you're done.
Well, let's just, I may hit it, and Tyler Megill. He had a 4.5 ERA last year, and this is the best rotation in baseball's opening day starter. Very interesting to me. I don't really know how those two go hand in hand. In the previous two meetings between these two teams, the Washington Nationals outscored the Mets 21-3. 21-3. So no matter how you spin it, the Mets definitely went 0-2 unless they maybe won a 3-0 game and then lost a 21-0 game. But neither of those happened. And the third and final reason, these two teams are fighting for a fourth place spot right now. So the winner of this is well on their way to that fourth place spot. And, maybe one tanks for a draft pick and maybe the Mets go to fifth on purpose. But I think they'll both try as hard as they can for fourth place. What do you think, Jet?
Tommy, I'm right with you on this. Great analysis there. I also have the Mets losing opening day. When you have veterans in your rotation and you go with a young, unproven guy in McGill, and you have Carrasco and you have Bassett on this same rotation, kind of a questionable move from a manager that seems like he still hasn't gotten back fully into the game. Still seems like he's more of an analyst on MLB Network than manager for the New York Mets right now. But I don't know if that 0-3 record was in reference to one of their spring training games.
Oh, they're all spring training.
Okay, that's what I was just making sure, because the Mets did lose to the Nationals 14-0 last night, and that's what I wanted to bring up. They only had 3 hits compared to the Nationals at 20. So this this was the final tune-up before opening day, and obviously it's clear what directions both of these teams are going in.
Yeah, and it really wasn't like a blow-up either. The Mets, they started one of the guys that's going to be in the rotation this year, Taijuan Walker. I think he went like 2 innings, gave up 6 earned runs.
He gave up 8 in the second inning.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, welcome back to baseball, New York Mets fans. I hope this is what you guys have been waiting for all offseason. I hope Steve Cohen is still in your dreams. But now let's get off of this topic. I'm tired of talking about this trash team.
Let's not bring up the Mets until they're in the bottom of the NL East come June, okay?
Okay, yeah. Let's make a pact, Jet. We will not say the word New York Mets until, what, they have 50 losses?
Deal. Okay.
So I'll see you in 50 games. Jet and I have something very interesting now, and we've been excited for this. We've been planning on this for a while. I know it took, at least an hour for each of us to make these lists up. So what we do have for you is, with the NBA season coming to a culmination, the playoff outlook is starting to shape up. The Sixers do have one guy who seems to be unvaccinated, and luckily it's Matisse Thybulle and not a bigger name, because he is not suiting up tomorrow in Toronto, and that's who it looks like the Sixers will be playing first round of the playoffs. But nonetheless, the playoff picture is shaping up. We basically, barring a crazy turn of events, we kind of know who the best players are. Exactly where we're going to turn. Jet and I are both going to talk about our top 10 NBA players of not just this season, but this season does have a big account into it. Um, but obviously, people like just a good name that comes to mind, Kawhi Leonard. He's been hurt all year, so obviously this season you can't judge him, but he's still a top talent in the NBA. So we're going to give you, basically where we're at. We're also going to include some honorable mentions as well. I don't know how many Jet has. I know I only have one honorable mention because this is
Six.
you have six. Okay,
It's just
I
so
think this is
tough. It is.
a bit more prestigious. I know Jet has some Miami Heat players in there, so that's probably why he had to lengthen the list a little bit. I think if you exclude Heat players, which is you pretty easily can do in this, the list shortens up a bit. But Jet, why don't we start out with our honorable mentions? Since you have so many, you go ahead and give us yours first.
Yeah, by the way, when you
Well, and also go ahead. I do want you to tell us why these guys just didn't quite make the top 10.
Yeah, by the way, when you said that this list took an hour or so to make, I think you're being very generous there. I was up all night last night, all day this morning. I couldn't even get to my homework because I was just so invested in this list. But let me get to my honorable mentions. The first one I have, Anthony Davis. Obviously, he's been one of the top players in the league, but just a guy that just cannot stay healthy, was part of a Lakers team that was really a big disappointment in this season. And who knows if he can ever get back to what he once was, just because as he is getting older and there's a lot of other players that are starting to, step in front of him. My next one is Damian Lillard, another one that's been injured all season long, who's always been among the top players in the NBA, just has not been able to showcase it this year. Again, other players are just starting to pass him by. Another one, Jimmy Butler, Miami Heat. Always one of the top players in the game, even though if he doesn't get credit and such, while he doesn't show it on the scoreboard time and time again, he is a team leader, facilitator, and he's been one of the main parts of why the Heat are the number one seed in the East. And then my final one, somewhat of a surprise to probably Tommy and maybe everyone listening out there, was a very tough exclusion, but I decided to include James Harden in large part due to his issues being on a team. It's a team sport, and I know he fills up the scoreboard time and time again, the stat sheet, but when it comes down to it, he may never win a championship just because he's never able to gel with his teammates, and that's a big concern for me. Obviously, when you take the top 10 NBA players, you want to take into consideration stats and whatnot, but there's another element to that, and that's being a key part of a team and being a key piece in winning a championship.
Okay. I like those honorable mentions. I don't know, when you said that it might have been surprising me for him to be on that honorable mentions. Do you think I'd have him higher or lower?
I think you would have him on your top 10.
Okay. Well, I recounted my top 10. I actually had 11 in the top 10, so apparently I have two honorable mentions. And so apparently I think 12 would be then this guy, Devin Booker. Devin Booker is he's just a monster of a player. He carried that Suns team even when Chris Paul was out. I don't know if it's fair to say he carried because there's still a lot of pieces there that are very good basketball players. Devin Booker is just outside my top 10. And the second one that I have just outside my top 10 is DeMar DeRozan. I think it's foolish to ignore the season that he had this year, even though it's kind of coming to a bit of a halt. He still had a great year, and this Bulls team basically lived and died through him all season long. And I think that deserved a bit of a mention. But so, Jet, how do you want to do this? Do you want to go one for one here?
Yeah, let's just do it that way. And I just want to quickly comment on DeMar DeRozan. Obviously, he's not going to win the MVP this year, but like you mentioned, the Bulls will not be where they are without him. And I expect him to still finish within the top 5 of MVP voting. And he definitely deserves to be talked about. So I'm glad you brought him up.
Yeah. I just think it's hard to have him any lower. I think this Bulls team, if DeMar DeRozan had an average year this year, I think this Bulls team possibly is trying to make a play-in spot. So very, very different aspects of, what we're looking at here. Jed, who do you have at number 10?
Yeah, so Tommy alluded to this guy early on, and we haven't heard much from him all season because he's been injured, but I'm going with Kawhi Leonard. Obviously, he's a Finals MVP, one of the best players to play the game the last several years, and that just hasn't been on notice just because he hasn't been on the court. But when he does play defensively, obviously one of the best players in the game, and he can do just as well on the offensive side of the ball as well. He could potentially return for the playoffs if the Clippers are able to, get through the playing games and advance on. But for some, Kawhi Leonard might not be in your top 10 just because he didn't play, but I think we can't discount that.
Okay, yeah, I'm just going to go give a disclaimer here. I don't have him inside my top 10, but like I mentioned it before, so it's basically like I gave him an honorable mention when I did say that, he deserves his recognition even though he's been hurt all year. So just count that for me as an honorable mention. But for me at number 10, I have Ja Morant. And basically every time I talk basketball on this show, I bring this guy up because I just love watching him play. I love saying his name. It's a great name to say. I mean, he's quick, he's athletic, the guy can jump like 9 feet in the air. It's unbelievable to watch him play on the court. And I think that he is at a 10 spot right now in my rankings. I know a lot of my friends who I've talked to don't have him as a top 10 player just yet. But I think I'm prematurely putting him here because I know he will be there at most amount of time next year because he's progressing every year.
Yeah. Tommy, go ahead and after the show, just give me your friends' numbers because I totally disagree with what they're thinking. I have Ja Morant in my top 10, and that brings me to my number 9.
Well, let me go ahead. The whole reason we're doing this segment is shout out to my friend Avery because he has Devin Booker as a quote-unquote top 5 player, not top 5 in the NBA. And, I mean, I respect the take. He's a great player, but when I found out that the guys he left off that list to put Booker up there, I had to just make an emergency episode here.
Understandable. Maybe we'll have to have Avery on to defend his case for Devin Booker being the top 5. I don't know how he's gonna have any valid points, but that is to be seen. But just to add on to Ja Morant a little bit, the ascension he has gone up the NBA ranks of top players in the NBA has been very, very quick. Obviously he's playing at an MVP level, and he's one of the main reasons why this Grizzlies team is in the position they are. I don't think they're going to be able to get extremely far in the playoffs this year. They're still a very young team, but count on it. The Grizzlies are going to win an NBA Finals in the next several years.
Wow, calling it out right now. It's hard to pick a team to win. I feel like in the NBA, as far as like in the future, just because of how many times players move in this sport. But I think that you're right on the money there with that prediction. For me at number 9, I have Jason Tatum. And I am going to take a little bit of credit for this guy's success because he has exploded onto the scene this year like he hasn't yet before in his career. Even though he's had a very good career to this season, he is exploding this year. And I'm going to credit his success to me in the smallest portion. You know why, Jet?
Why?
Because countless times in the beginning of the year, I took his under on points, and damn it, he hit the over every single time. I would say at least 10 to 12 times I bet on this guy's under, and time again he hits the over, and I think it's just to spite me, but hey, spite me or not, you rose yourself up my power rankings of best players in the NBA. Jason Tatum at 9. I think him and Jaylen Brown can carry the Celtics team to a championship. Honestly, this season, I think they're playing unbelievable basketball together, but Jason Tatum is just that much better than Jaylen Brown, so he made the list.
Yeah, Tommy, I give no credit to you whatsoever for Jason Tatum's great second half of the season, because I don't know, like the team in general was not performing at what the expectations were. The expectations weren't even that high to begin with coming into the season, but they have surpassed anything that anyone ever thought. And another great transition, Tommy. I appreciate it because Jason Tatum is my number 8 player on my list. We could talk about the offense, but the defense has improved mightily, not only in this season, but just the progression from year to year has been something to keep an eye on. And yeah, as much as I don't like to say it, I think for me as a Heat fan, the Celtics are one of those teams that I just do not want to face in the playoffs. They have been the hottest team for as long as we can remember, from All-Star break to now, and a lot of it has to do with the play of Jason Tatum.
Yeah, as a Heat fan, you you don't want to face the Celtics. You don't want to face the Lakers. You definitely don't want to face the Nets.
Sixers are
Clearly,
my
you can't
target.
handle them.
Sixers are my target matchup, but I'll get to that in a little bit.
So for me at number 8, and just remember what I said earlier before anyone gets triggered at this, I have Steph Curry. Steph Curry, he is the greatest three-point shooter of all time. I understand. I'm not an idiot. He is a massive game changer. He's won finals. He's done it all. He has nothing to prove to the NBA. But at the same time, he's not having his best statistical season. Averaging around 25 points a game, I believe, is what I saw. And again, that's good. His field goal percentage is a little bit lower than his career numbers. And he's just not performing as well this season as the guys I have above him. It's as simple as that.
Understandable. I'm going to touch on him a little bit more because I give a little bit more respect to Steph Curry in my rankings, as we'll, touch on just a little bit. So I'll save my commentary for that. So I'll just go right into my number 7 player, and that is Luka Doncic. Another guy, just like John Morant, one of those other young players that has really ascended up the ranks of best players in this game. For a guy that coming into the NBA, being that he was international, no one really knew what to expect from him, but coming into the league, he was clearly beyond his years. He is a facilitator. He's a scorer. The defense, it may not be there at times, but just his ability to be a playmaker. I wouldn't be surprised at all if we're talking about Luka as one of the top 2, top 3 players in the next several years.
Okay. Yeah, I have him a little bit higher, so like you said before, I'll just save my commentary for later. Number 7, same exact disclaimer I had before Steph. I have LeBron James at number 7. I understand he's the second best scorer in the league right now because he has the second most points. He's going for that scoring title until he decided to pussy out from a playoff race with ankle tightness. I don't know what he had. The guy is soft. He's soft made, and I don't really care what you have to say. I understand he's more successful than I am. I don't care. The guy is a soft basketball player. He does whatever he can seemingly to put himself in the spotlight. Even last game, there's a clip of him just walking out in the third quarter. It's ridiculous, honestly, to even call himself a leader at this point. He didn't care for 1 second about anyone on that Lakers team. And it was pretty obvious, and he made it obvious, and I don't know what his plans are from here on out. We also did take to Instagram. I asked people if LeBron should retire, and if he did, would it leave a sour taste in the mouth of fans after how he left? Both answers were yes. So people think he should retire, but people also think that the way he's left off this year is really soft and really, it's almost like it disgusts me to watch. So I moved him down the list, even though he's second in scoring right now. He's at 8.
Yeah,
or 7.
I'll talk about LeBron now too, because I have him at number 6 in my list, my next spot. And for LeBron, yeah, let me just full disclosure here. I have total respect for him just for what he did for my Miami Heat. Without that, we may not have been as successful now as we were just due to what he brought to the table in Miami. However, I'm really getting sick and tired of the way he's going about himself on the court, for what is supposed to be a true leading by example, leading, in general. It just does not seem like he cares to do that anymore. The only thing he cares about is waiting for his son Bronny to join the league and teaming up with him, because he doesn't really care about winning anymore, honestly. He just wants that one goal, and that one goal is to play with his son. More focused on making movies, obviously, with Space Jam 2 coming out, but for a guy that was thought to potentially chasing Michael Jordan, he's going to come up extremely short, in my opinion. Just another side note, I was reading a story today about DeMar DeRozan, who obviously in the summer was trying to figure out which team he wanted to join. The Lakers were one of those options, and he came out and said that when he was, looking at the Lakers, when he were talking to the team personnel, players, it seemed like they were a very dysfunctional group, and obviously he was right. They signed a bunch of guys that probably have grandchildren in Russell Westbrook and Anthony Davis and Carmelo Anthony, and that clearly has not worked out. I didn't believe it was going to work out. So a really poor showing from the Lakers. I wish ESPN would just stop talking about him when there's so many other great players to talk about. But yeah, that's my little speech on that.
Yeah, well, here at 25/8, we actually deem ESPN unwatchable. We tell you just to tune into our shows instead. I think honestly, you'd be doing both of us a favor if you did that. Either that, or you can go ahead and watch women's college basketball highlights and LeBron's daily life activities. At number 6, I'm tired of people disrespecting this man. I have Trae Young.
Wow.
Trae Young is an absolute monster. He went berserk in the playoffs last year. He single-handedly eliminated the Knicks, and technically he did it again this year because the Knicks lost to the Hawks and were eliminated from the play-in. So Trae Young just hates New York, apparently. Not going to mention the METS team because they don't have 50 losses quite yet. But Trae Young, 28 points a game and 10 assists a game. I mean, he's basically accounting for half of his team scoring every single game. And that's absolutely ridiculous. The offense lives through him, and he has such a swagger about him that, I mean, I don't even like him because he beat the Sixers as well last season, but I don't like it because of his attitude, but his attitude is partially what makes him absolutely incredible as a basketball player. He is the 6th best player in the NBA right now.
Wow, that is absurd, honestly. I like Trae Young as a player. He is a fantastic player, one of the best shooters we have in the game today. Notice I didn't even have him as an honorable mention. I have him as a top 20 player right now. You know, when you have it's tough to, I get, we talked about LeBron, we talked about Curry, but to have even Trae Young over those guys, and I get it, he deserves to be mentioned. I don't think he deserves to be mentioned in top 10. Not saying that can't be one day, but I need to see more from him. I need to see him, be able to lead his team in the playoffs, and obviously was able to lead his team to defeating the Sixers, which is something definitely to keep an eye on. But even this year, like, obviously he's not the sole reason for the team's lack of success, but if he wants to be a true leader and take this team to where they want to go, I just haven't seen enough from him to be named a top 6 player in the NBA just yet.
Yeah, that's fine. And I knew you'd be surprised at that because it's worthy of being surprised at. But you got to realize he is 7th in the league in scoring and 1st in the league in assists.
Yeah, well, I mean, in part for the scoring, when you're taking, X amount of shots per game, and he's probably among the league's highest in attempts. I mean,
he also hasn't missed a game, which is a big part of it as well.
Yeah, credit to him. Like I always say, best ability is availability is something he's been, definitely can pride himself on. But when
what else you always say, Jet?
What goes up must come down.
There you go.
But when you're just looking at the players you have below your list, it's just very tough to put Trae Young over those guys.
For you, maybe. It was a pretty easy decision for me.
Okay.
Let's hear your number 5 though.
Yeah, so I talked about him before, so I will now give my commentary on this guy, Stephen Curry. Tommy likes to discount, his lack of production this year, and I totally get it. It seems like he has a little bit of a hangover since he broke Ray Allen's 3-point record in December. But despite the fact, this Warriors team would not be in this position without him, and it just coming after last year's performance from this Warriors team when Steph Curry wasn't around to what we're seeing now. All this has to do with Steph, and yeah, he may not be lighting up the stat sheets like he once was, but I still label him as a top 5 player just because he's done so much for the league, and he's still able to get the job done. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Warriors make a sneaky run at the finals this year, in large part to him finding his touch when they need it most.
Okay, I think the Warriors are first round exits. I'm calling it now.
First round exits? So wait. So you're saying right now they would be playing I believe
the Nuggets, right?
The Nuggets, yeah.
I think the Nuggets can beat Golden State.
Interesting.
Perfect segue.
Interesting.
At number 5, big Nikola Jokic. And this is when it started getting really hard for me because I think 1 through 5 are pretty much interchangeable. Trae Young was just outside that list, and I think I think that 7 through 10 was also interchangeable. But Nikola Jokic at 5, I think he is. I mean, he's playing himself into another MVP conversation, and I think that we're going to hear an MVP debate for Nikola Jokic for the rest of his time in the league because, I mean, what he does is very sustainable. He's just a smart basketball player, a basketball player, and to his strengths, and you can't stop someone playing to their strengths.
Absolutely, a perfect segue once again. I really appreciate you tuning this up with my rankings because he is my.
I'm segueing your dumbass right now.
Yeah, I mean Tommy had an issue, setting his top 4. That was pretty easy for me, really self-explanatory when I was looking at the guys I had to work with. But yeah, number 3, and number 4 were very difficult for me, but the main differentiator was defense. Nikola Jokic is an outstanding playmaker when it comes to the offensive side of the ball. Some trouble on defense at times, but obviously in the midst of the MVP race, once again, facilitates his teammates each and every possession and then gets his own when he needs him to. Obviously, this error of the center position evolving, he is front and center of that, and he is front and center of leading this Nuggets team to potentially making a sneaky run in the playoffs, which I don't think they'll do, but obviously Tommy thinks is possible.
Yeah, I think that it's very possible. It's not like they have a bad team, Jed. I don't really understand.
They just have too many injuries. That's my problem.
I think that they're going to beat Golden State.
Okay, we'll talk
Is
about
Draymond going to be back for the series?
I believe so.
If not, then you really got to consider it. Either way, heading to number 4, and Jed had this guy a little bit lower. Luka Doncic for me is the 4th best player in the NBA. And he is a smidgen ahead of Jokic for me, just because he's a little bit better at getting assists. He's also a little bit better scoring. So he's basically the whole entire offense for this team. And, I mean, he was last year as well. I think he's up for White Boy of the Year again. I think he's like 3rd or 4th. I think Jack Harlow just released Nail Tech. It's really going to hurt Jokic's stats, and Cooper Kupp also Super Bowl MVP. But White Boy of the Year is a tight race this year, Jet. I know, Jet, you're down at like 76 or 77. You lost some points due to the Jufro.
No problem, yeah.
But, you're top 100.
I actually have you in my top 20, though, which is interesting. So I'm a little confused by that.
Top 20 NBA centers, right?
No,
just white boys?
Oh, just white boys, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I've Tyler Hero at 1, though, just so everyone knows.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, 6th man of the year who starts. It's really weird.
Unanimous for 6th man of the year.
Either way.
Yeah.
Luka Doncic, he's the 4th best player in the NBA. Let's just get on with this.
4th? God, this list. We'll have to put this list out to our viewers to see who really has the better list, obviously.
Well, you went mainstream with it, so I guess you're preparing for putting it out to our viewers first.
I truly went with what is the top 10, and I think that my list is the more accurate one. I don't have LeBron at the top 3. I don't have Curry in the top 3. I mean, it's an accurate representation of what I believe. With that being said, let me move over to my number 3 player in the NBA, and that is Joel Embiid. Obviously of Tommy's Philadelphia 76ers, a MVP caliber player every year. Problem is he just has a tough time staying healthy. I mentioned why it was close between Embiid and Jokic in my mind, but the nod goes to Embiid just because of his defense. Obviously at the top of this MVP race this year, and is going to do what he can to take the 76ers team as far as he can. However, he has a gauntlet ahead of him, especially if he has to face the Miami Heat, who have had his number time and time again. And I really don't expect that to change. We're going to see some more Joel Embiid crying memes once again after the 2022 playoffs.
Good spiel. At number 3, I have my first of 2 76ers. A man by the name of Tyrese Maxey. Tyrese Maxey is the smoothest player in the NBA, the fastest player in the NBA, and I think that...
Wait a second. This is top 10 in the NBA, not, top on the 76ers. I don't know if...
Oh, okay. In that case, at number 3, I have Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is the best scorer of our generation, and I think he is still up in that category. Other than his really ashy knees, I don't know, Jet, if you saw that picture that circled around a few weeks ago, where his knees were literally looked like spider webs. So he really doesn't take care of himself much, but it's all right. He's a basketball player, and he's very, very good at it. And I think 1 through 3 is literally the closest you can get between player skill sets.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like I really thought about Maxi. I did. I considered it. I went back and forth on it. It was between Maxi and Hero for my number 2 spot, actually. But after some consideration, my number 2 spot didn't go to either of those guys. It went to Spider Knees himself, Kevin Durant. Okay. Still, even coming off the injuries that he did, how could you not have him as a top 2 player in the NBA with what he's able to do? He can score from anywhere on the court. Obviously, he is getting up there in age, and that's something to keep an eye on, but he can score time and time again. And while this Nets team isn't in the position that I'm sure he would like them to be, they're definitely going to be a threat, in large part due to Kevin Durant's play. He has experience in the playoffs, which is going to come in handy. And Kevin Durant, my number 2 player in the NBA.
And absolutely respectable pick. For me at number 2, I do have Jet. I know you're on the edge of your seat. I know you think I'm going to be biased here, but I have Joel Embiid at number 2.
Generous considering your history.
So we know who the top 2 players in the NBA are. We know the top 3. How's that? We know the top 3 for 3, and Embiid at 2. I'm just going to go ahead and mention all 3 here just to prove my argument as best as I can. So it's all in one evenly organized thing. Embiid is at 2 because I think that he's a little bit more dynamic than Kevin Durant. I think he plays a little bit better defense, and he is an inch below Giannis because of defense. Joel Embiid shoots better than Giannis. He gets to the line a lot more than Giannis. But Giannis scores just as much without shooting well and getting to the line, and Giannis is, in my opinion, a top 2 defender in the NBA. So Giannis is just a little bit above. I think they both have different skill sets. Embiid averages 1 more point a game, literally the same exact amount of rebounds down to the decimal, and Giannis 1 more assist per game. But like I said, Giannis's defense is you don't really see in stat boxes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So Giannis, Embiid, KD 1 through 3, and I think it's as close as can be.
Yeah, and the only thing I have different is the 2 and 3. I have Giannis, Durant, and then Embiid. But Giannis is like a player we've never really seen before with what he's able to do, considering he's not the best of shooters, but him coming down the lane at full force is a scary sight for any opposing defense. And Tommy mentioned the defense, absurdly, good on defense, and then that athleticism helps him get the job done on the offensive side of the ball. And obviously, he's coming off of an NBA Finals and NBA Finals MVP, and obviously, he has more that he would like to get accomplished, and he is starting to already early on make his case for the Hall of Fame.
Oh yeah, case is made, Jet. He's a Hall of Famer. And I hate to break the news to everybody out here that apparently is living in denial. But Jed, I'm gonna go through some of these Instagram polls that I posted today.
Okay.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
So I took to Instagram. I asked, is Devin Booker a top 10 player in the NBA? 53% of voters said yes, he is. 47% of voters said no, he is not. Some notable yeses. My sister, I don't think she's ever watched basketball in her life. Colin Dawson, that's an interesting one for me. Aiden Stroh, I mean, the Lakers profile pic, so you can tell he watches basketball. He's also a very close friend of mine, so he loves basketball. Gonna have to hear from him on that, yes. Notable knows Matt Mawad. This guy knows sports quite well. Is Jason Tatum. The same exact percentages, but Tatum got no as opposed to yes. And I just can't see how Tatum is not a top 10 player right now. Yeah, I don't understand any reasoning behind that.
I'm confused. I don't know if people have like previous seasons on their DVRs just, going on loop or whatnot. I don't know if maybe the Celtics just haven't been on TV enough. People are living in the past, but we're here. Tommy and I are both here to make sure everyone knows, because we are the better version of ESPN. So we want it to be known that we're gonna make Jason Tatum our LeBron, and we're gonna talk about Jason Tatum every episode, all the time,
until you're sick of him.
Until you're sick of him.
So, next question: should LeBron James retire? 56% of voters said yes. The very next question was, if LeBron announces his retirement tomorrow morning, do you think he leaves a sour taste in the mouth of fans? 77% yes. So people, like I mentioned earlier, people think he should retire, and people think that he's not definitely retiring nowhere near the top, but they don't really care. I think a lot of people are just sick of LeBron's antics right now, and I think it's so evident how just terrible of a teammate he's being, and terrible of a leader.
Yeah, I mean, with all this new blood in the NBA, like it's time. LeBron's journey has come to an end. He's done what he's had to do. I mean, there's really nothing else. Maybe he wants to play with Bronny. I mean, obviously he can still play at a high level, but I just don't see him getting back to an NBA Finals anytime soon.
Yeah, I don't think he is. I mean, anytime soon means he's got about 2 more years left in the league, in my opinion. So I think it would only have to be soon. But some notable responses to the next question. This is a funny one. Who is NBA MVP? Got a few weird ones. My sister said Shat. That's my brother's nickname. That's what we call him around the house. Shat. By we, I mean me. Matt Mawad said LBJ. He is a noted and known LeBron sexual. So don't dig too deep into that one. Brendan Lynch said Joker all day. He hates every single team that I like. So he's saying that because he hates Joel Embiid. Aaron Malloy said Jokic. Alec Caruso. That's a good one.
Interesting.
Same person that said Alec Caruso said John Morant. He's got 2. We have a Greek Freak. We have a shout out to Jet's mom. Someone said Britt Rosenstein.
Sister.
Oh, sister. My mistake. Connor Palesh said Lamar Jackson. Interesting. Someone said Giannis. So a few Giannis's. A Jimmy. I don't know who Jimmy is. I don't think he's good enough to have just one first name. And then like 6 or 7 responses that say MVP'd.
See, that's weird. I only count 2.
MVPIID. Joel MVP'd. And I think it's pretty self-explanatory. 6 or 7 of those MVP.
Notable omissions on this poll. Curb was absent on this one, but he's been heavily invested in some of the other ones. Hopefully we get to hear his feedback sometime soon.
Yeah, I just don't think he's too interested in basketball. I think it's on us, honestly, if we keep posting that basketball content. Can't really blame him there. Jet, do you know what time it is?
It's time for me to go to sleep.
Well, hold on, Jet. I think we're all excited for this one.
SM Plastic.
SM Plastic. Absolutely incredible word of the day. Molding into one or unifying. So, we're talking about NBA. NBA is one of the most important sports to be unified with your team. You look at the Miami Heat collapse from back in 2022. These guys weren't molding into one. They weren't unifying. Jimmy Butler is punching people. He's punching head coaches on the sidelines. It's absolutely ridiculous to see, and despicable that I even get these updates. I mean, kids have ESPN. Like, they don't want to see their idol, maybe Jimmy Butler, their idol. I mean, it's a weird idol pick, but they don't want to see him punching, teammates and coaches. I mean, he's throwing haymakers. I mean, it's really like Andre Johnson and Cortland Finnegan from back in 2008. I mean, what's the difference? They're basically the same fight. Absolutely absurd to watch. Another one that I can really tie this into is LeBron James.
Okay.
Molding into one. He's not molding into one or unifying with this Los Angeles Lakers team. I'll tell you that for damn show.
Right. For damn show.
FADAMSHO. For damn show. Say it.
Preach for
Say
them
it.
show. For them show.
For damn show.
For them show.
Jet.
For them
The
show.
only thing he's unifying with, Jet, is he's unifying with the locker room when his team is getting eliminated in the third corner of an elimination game.
Preach, baby.
For damn
Preach.
show.
Preach.
LeBron James is unifying with none other than, Markieff Morris, most likely.
Speaking to my soul right now. Preach.
I mean, these guys flop on the daily. It's ridiculous to see. The NBA is just in a bad place because of players like LeBron and Markieff. I mean, they're on the same play level. They're on the same skill set, and they're definitely both up for the next Oscars.
You were speaking to me all there, Tommy, like speaking inside of my soul until you brought up
Fa damn show. Give it to me.
Fa damn show.
Fa damn show.
Fa damn show.
There you go.
There we go.
Jed, is there anything else you'd like to get to on this extraordinary webinar?
No, this was a really good one. I'm happy we got to detail our top 10 NBA players. We're definitely going to put this up for a vote to see which one our viewers like. And we're excited to, after opening day and the first weekend of baseball wraps up, we're going to definitely highlight that and then talk about the NBA playoffs, which is on the horizon.
Yeah, and another thing I'm super, super excited for is early June when we can finally talk about the Mets again. They'll be a 50-loss team by late June. So
absolutely, mark it down, guys.
Buck Showalter, straight out of the nursing home. I mean, he's not ready to coach.
Hell yeah.
For damn show.
For damn show.
We really appreciate all of you tuning in and staying with us to the very end. And it is time for our fourth piece of the sandwich. We have mustard. We have relish. I'm pretty sure we have like turkey in there. No. We have cheese. We have mustard. We have relish. We have cheese. You know what, Jed? It's time for a fundamental piece. It's time for your Rudy Gobert's of the sandwich. Go ahead and send bottom bun to us in our DMs if you made it this far in the video.
Absolutely. We got a lot of responses last time. We handed out a lot of great prizes. So we're hoping for some more responses. And
I will say the 17th person that sends the word bottom bun to either our DMs or our personal lines is going to be going home with a new car.
Yeah.
All right. Good night.
See you guys.